Hello everybody, I'm your host, the Haunted Legion. And today, we're going to be taking a trip down into the hills and hollers of Appalachia, because I've got 5 more chilling urban legends for you all that come from the heart of Appalachia. So, if you're ready to get them goosebumps, then let's get into it. Now before we get started, let me remind you that this series is not meant to slander or speak ill of any group of people. The legends I tell in this series are simply stories that have been passed down through generations, and I do my best to present them as respectfully and accurately as possible. But with that said, let's dive into the first story. The Phantom Hitchhiker. There's a very old and well-known legend throughout the United States about a phantom hitchhiker. But there are also many local versions of this legend that take place specifically in Appalachia. One such version comes from West Virginia, where a young man tells this tale. He says, "I was driving home late one night, and I stopped at a gas station on the outskirts of town to fill up. As I approached the pump, I could see a woman standing next to my car. I thought maybe she had been waiting for me to finish pumping my gas so that she could get into her car. I walked over to her and asked if she was waiting for me to finish pumping my gas, and she said, 'No, I think I might need a ride.' She looked tired and didn't have any luggage or anything like that, just a backpack. I figured, okay, I live right down the road from her. I'll drive her the rest of the way. We got in my car and I asked her where she was headed, and she told me the name of a small town, which happened to be about 10 minutes down the road. As we drove in silence, I could unhelp but glance at her every once in a while, and I noticed that she seemed to fade in and out of existence. At first, I thought maybe I was just being paranoid and imagining things. Then she began to materialize and dematerialize within my car. I stopped the car on the side of the road and told her that she needed to get out of my car. She became solid again and stepped out of my car as if nothing had happened. As she walked away, I saw her fade away into the trees, and I haven't seen her since." This legend has many different versions and takes place in several different locations throughout Appalachia. Some say that when you pick up a hitchhiker, you should never offer them a ride all the way to their destination, because they might just be looking to get dropped off in the middle of nowhere. Others say that hitchhikers are always looking for money and will kill you for your wallet. But I have never heard a version of this legend where the hitchhiker actually does you a favor. If you find yourself picking up a hitchhiker in the middle of nowhere, then you should just drive them to the nearest gas station or town and let them figure it out from there. The Hookman. Most people are familiar with the legend of the Hookman, which is another legend that can be found all across the United States. But there are some regional differences to the Appalachian version of this tale. Many of these stories take place in secluded areas around Charleston, West Virginia. In these versions, lovers will go down country roads outside of town in order to make out in the seclusion of the woods. While they're parked here, they hear chains dragging metal moans and see a man dragging himself towards their car. This man has hooks for hands, and he reaches through the window and offers them a ride. If they accept his offer, then they won't be seen again. In some versions, the man drags them out of their car and into the woods, and in other versions, he drives them to an abandoned house and forces them to stay there with him. Many locals say that the Hookman isn't actually a man at all, but is instead a demon who preys on teenagers. In some versions, he is said to have been a butcher who mutilated his customers and went missing after killing his last victim. If you hear chains dragging in the middle of the night, then it's best to stay inside and lock your doors. The Beast of Bladen Springs. The Beast of Bladen Springs is a cryptid that supposedly lives deep in the forests of Pocahontas County, West Virginia. Residents of the area say that it is a large, hairy biped that walks on 2 legs and lives deep in the mountains. There were said to be sightings of this creature dating back as far as the 1800s. The most recent sighting was in 2011 when a hunter said that he came face to face with the beast while walking through the forest. He says it was massive and covered in long black hair. It stood straight up on 2 feet and was at least 7 feet tall. I watched it walk away, and it didn't seem to want to be seen. Its shoulders were hunched forward, and its head was cowered down. It kind of shuffled along like a bear or something. Animal experts believe that it may be a member of the same species as Bigfoot, but others believe that it could be a completely new and unknown species. After hearing this story, I'd suggest staying away from the forests of West Virginia. The Greenbrier Ghost. This legendary ghost is said to haunt the Greenbrier Hotel in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. Legend says that a young woman by the name of Elizabeth Poley was staying at the hotel in 1937 when she fell in love with a worker named John A. Davis. Their romance was forbidden, however, because Elizabeth was engaged to a wealthy man by the name of Colonel James D. Hopkins. When John found out that Elizabeth's wedding was moved up a day, he confronted her and demanded that she break off her engagement. When she refused, he killed her and buried her in the basement of the hotel. Her body was never found, and she was never reported missing. 14 years later, a stagehand working on a production in the Greenbrier Hotel's music hall claimed that he saw Elizabeth's ghost walking the halls. Soon after, guests began reporting seeing her ghost as well. And even though no physical evidence has ever been found, many believe that her ghost still haunts the halls of the Greenbrier Hotel. The Loveland Frog. Deep in the hills of eastern Kentucky lives a monstrous frog-like creature known as the Loveland Frog. Unlike most frog species in the United States, this frog stands on two legs and walks like a human. Eyewitnesses say that it is about 4 feet tall and covered in slimy green skin. Locals say that the creature has been spotted multiple times and that it makes its home in the swamps and bogs of the annual Boone National Forest. It is said that the creature only comes out at night to look for food, and it often steals fish from the local fishermen's lines. If you plan on heading into the Daniel Boone National Forest, then you should keep an eye out for this peculiar amphibian. And you may want to bring a gun just in case. Now, I know what you're thinking. Frogs don't have guns. Well, apparently they do now. Thank you all for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, I invite you to check out the other videos on my channel. Also, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you all next time.